Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're notified of any time we put up new content. Obviously, we have videos going up daily, but sometimes 2-3 times a day. And every interview, every memory, every story, every player picked, you don't want to miss because everyone's a belter, because everyone's individual to them. So make sure you hit that bell icon so you don't miss nothing. Loads of great guests, loads of great fans, including today's fans. You know, he does. He whores himself about the YouTube channels, West Ham Fan TV. He does a bit of this. He does a bit of Irons United. It's Jazz Uppal. Hi, Jazz. How you doing, man?
Hi, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you
Russ.
Irons, indeed. How you doing? It's one of those,
brilliant, Russ.
Come on, you Irons is one of those things, and it's really funny. It's I don't think any other group has that sort of. You know, I was talking to Sam Delaney about it once, and you know, you walk up, and if you had a West Ham shirt, and someone, if you're in the middle of, I don't know, Horn Church High Street, come on, you eyes. And I don't see that with two Arsenal fans or two Spurs fans going past each other.
No, we are special, aren't we? Yeah, special.
We've already been social distancing for many years just by saying, you know, come on, you eyes, and then you just carry on walking across the road. How's lockdown for you, Jazz?
Lockdown is not too bad because I'm usually work from home 3 days a week, so it's 5 days now.
Yeah. And
the second thing is I'm not really a person who goes out, for instance, to the pub a lot. I kind of go once a week for a nice pub lunch and a drink. I'm one of those. I just kind of invite people around my house and we have a few drinks at home. Big difference for the children. They were going to have their GCSE exams, A-levels. My daughter's hoping to get to university this summer. So real sort of upheaval for them. The wife's taken a bit of a career break, so she's just at home sort of keeping herself busy doing various things. So not too bad, but I'm beginning to sort of get itching a little bit to get out there, meet my friends and get the football back on. So yeah, it's 10, 11 weeks, whatever. So yeah, good so far, keeping healthy, staying at home as much as I can, away from the crowds. But yeah, there's only a certain amount of time before, as a natural, humanly possible, you want to go out there, don't you?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think it started off as unusual, then it became sort of a hindrance, then it became the norm, and now it's just becoming boring now, isn't it? So but as you said, football's on. And we can only we have the joys of West Ham to look forward to the next 9 games or so, and hopefully more entertaining than the Sheffield United Villa game yesterday.
That was awful, wasn't it? Awful weather, awful football, awful pace. And then to top it up, the thing I hate the most, the VAR or whatever came back to haunt us. God.
You can take a pause on football for 100 days or whatever, but it just carried on as normal, isn't it? It was like, boring football. Technology was crap. And the next game, Arsenal did, completely capitulated. David Luiz, nothing's changed. Nothing seems to have changed apart from there's no crowd.
I'm just thinking, whether technology is there or not, surely the linesman, the referee, you can see it if it's gone over or not. But it looks like the referees are not bothering, are they? Yeah.
Well, they're relying on technology now, isn't it? I think that's the trouble. And I mean, there was question marks. Obviously, the fact actually VAR could have officially overruled that because it was still in the same until that throw was taken afterwards. Apparently VAR could have still got involved, but he didn't because I don't know. Although we didn't see you used to always see the overhead view, didn't you, when it was a no goal, like with the line and the ball. We didn't get to see that one, so a bit weird. But 9,000 times they've been using Hawkeye apparently, and the 9,001 time it buggers up, and knowing our luck, it will bugger us up at the end, and that point could mean a lot, for Villa towards the end. But anyway, until then, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about memories, because we can, obviously we don't know what's going to happen in the next 9 games, but we know what's happened before. Why West Ham? Yes, why West Ham for you? How'd you get into it?
Right. West Ham. My dad is a West Ham fan. Came from India at the age of 12 in the early 60s. And he basically said to me, I saw the 1966 World Cup final and I wanted to find out who Bobby Moore plays for. And that's the team I'm going to follow. And we're one of those West Ham fans who are from West London. So I was born in an Ealing sort of area called Southall, which is mini India,
I
and
used to work in Ealing. Yeah, I know
they're
Southall.
famous for selling Alan Devonshire to West Ham.
Yes, exactly.
So that's the history. So it's also within the family, and my dad is quite passionate, and he used to say to everyone, if you don't follow West Ham, you know where the front door is. So we never had any choice, and naturally didn't really want a choice, and that's how I became a West Ham fan through my father.
Yeah, and that was it, as you said, and it's lovely. Yeah, you hear quite a lot of that particular. Who was the other? There was someone else I interviewed. It was the same story about the World Cup, and even some like so the Martin Godliman, who does the announcing at Upton Park at London Stadium. So when I was interviewing Martin, obviously I've worked Martin for many years, and I found out his story of West Ham again, very similar to yours, West London boy. Brentford area, I believe, and yeah, he watched the World Cup, and he wanted to be Martin Peters. It wasn't about the team. He wanted to be about whatever Martin Peters was, and obviously it was West Ham, and it started, his sort of career. So it's funny how much that one, obviously a massive event, but had such an effect on fans. And I was interviewing some ex-players the other day who were around that time, who were playing with Bobby and Jeff and Martin, and they said they were like rocks. We were going around. West Ham were traveling to America in sort of the '60s, which was never done before, but because they had Bobby Moore and Jeff and Martin, it's incredible. Absolutely, they're playing to like sell out crowds, doing a friendly against the States, and it's incredible.
Even when you think about the old players, I mean, I live in Windsor at the moment, so Phil Parkes is in Wokingham. He's not too far from me. And when you read the history of the players, Phil said, I used to travel from Wokingham to Chadwell Heath every morning, and that is one hell of a journey. I mean, I do it for match days, and it takes me an hour and a half through Waterloo and Stratford, and that's quite a big journey for me. And then obviously they said, Paul Goddard was from West London. Alan Devonshire used to be picked up from there. I think Kevin Keane, Martin Allen was from Gerrard's Cross, not far from here. So you've got a fair few players from the west side, really.
It's true. No, it's true. And there was never any restriction. I mean, we was talking to, as I said before we started, I was talking to Leroy Rossina today for another video, and he was saying he almost joined Watford, and the story was he was chatting. He was on, even spoke to Elton John. It was that far down the line, and literally I was about to sign the contracts, and he goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, all of our players have to live within a 12-mile radius of Vicarage Road." And he was like, "No, I've got kids. They're at school. I'm not taking them out of school." But West Ham, obviously, he said, Mad Dog and Kevin, they were car partners together, and they were driving around the M25 every day. So it's funny how different clubs work. So go on.
Funny story about that. Phil Parkes said when he joined, they pushed the training out to 10 o'clock to accommodate Phil. Really? So John said, "We'll do anything to get you in, and we'll do it." So that kind of helped.
Because that was a huge coup for West Ham. It was like, it's the equivalent now of De Gea. It was like the world transfer record. To come to West Ham rather than Man United were after him. It was a huge coup. I don't think people from my era particularly appreciate that. But that was a great. I can see that. Just imagine would do anything. 10 o'clock. No matter. He was thinking get a line in bed as well. So obviously since obviously you started watching the Hammers, there must have been lots of examples in your head which pop to mind, sort of fond memories and great days. What were some of them? I know you can't say everything, but there's the main ones that pop in your head when you think about that.
I think the main one is my first memory of saying I'm a West Ham fan, and that was Tony Cottee's debut against Spurs in 1983, I think, New Year's Day. And I remember I was only about 11, 12. My dad said, we're playing Spurs. And then he explained that looks like the game is going to be on in the big match this evening. So we'll stay up, we'll watch it. We won 3-0. And it started from there. So that's my first memory of, I know, kind of, not fully understand, but from memory, that's West Ham. That's who my dad likes. I like them. So it started from there. And what always kind of used to be attracted to me. It was the colours we played in.
Yeah,
it wasn't that
yeah,
common. Beautiful colours. I mean, blue and red's boring. I mean, half the league plays in those colours and white. But we've got really unique colours. And that's one of the things you say, especially that Adidas kit from the early 80s. Wow, I say, wow, the players look smart in that. Great atmosphere when you used to sort of watch it on TV a lot. So that's my first memory. And then that naturally follows on to the 85-86, I think.
Sure.
But having said that, I do remember we narrowly escaped relegation the year before.
Yeah.
I went to Wales, Snowdonia, on a primary school trip. But I had one eye on the scores because it was getting very tight when it came to the last 4 games, and we just about stayed up. And then 85-86. And then what I remember is obviously the matches weren't on TV a lot then, but on the radio, especially LBC, they would say, okay, West Ham are winning. And it's that man again, McAvenny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, who is this guy? Like, before every game, there's been a goal at Upton Park, to McAvenny again. And when you look at the list of the goals, he scores a lot in pairs. He's obviously scored single goals as well. And like, who is this guy who's come in? No one knows who he is. It's a funny name. Just every game. So those are my early memories of sort of supporting West Ham. And being in the playground from West London, I was probably the only one I knew. Most of the people were Chelsea in my area, QPR, a little bit, maybe one Fulham. So that kind of mix we had.
Yeah.
And you always get those London fans following Liverpool who are really annoying, but never mind them.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah. So those are my memories, really.
Yeah. As you said, I mean, it was. I mean, you probably got into it properly into it at a good age, really, wouldn't you? Because obviously then you had, well, not really, because you had 85-86, and then it just went like it was like nothing, wasn't it? Nothing until when? But exactly. But yeah, I mean, and I agree. You know, obviously, I was a little bit less experienced than you, as I was a little bit younger, so I don't really remember the 85-86 season. I was probably I was 4 at the time, but the idea being is but it was just, as you said, with someone like McAvenny and Cotty, and obviously we've had them on the channel, and you know, that whole team was incredible when you looked at it from, you know, and there's not only the results but the team as a whole, such a togetherness, and the fact that, you know, they're still revered every time they come on the pitch. TC said it himself. I think there's 17 records or something like that. They're still, which is absolutely mental, considering the caliber of players we've had through the door since then. You know, the Redknapp eras, for example. The wealth of talent that Tony Carr brought through that sort of in that 2000, that period where you had Joe and you had Carrot, and you know, it only matched. We got 5th, you know, that in 98-99 season. I think, if I'm wrong, some Kent Hammers would always question. It always corrects me on my videos.
You're right. I mean, I've met a lot of the characters in the West Ham Way events. That Dave Walker and the ex-sets are organised really well, and they're really nice guys. Always have time for you. Lots of photos and discussions with those guys. But I feel that luck is never in our kind of area as a club. And you look at the song Fade and Die, and I'm like, I always think sometimes we're cursed. I know it's a very strong word to use, but give you examples of a number of semi-final defeats we've had in the past. We're about to win even what used to be the old Division 1, and we lost that by last-minute Oldham penalty. Even that didn't come to us. Liverpool FA Cup final, the less we say about it, the better. That was a tragic day for all West Ham fans. And even when we finished 3rd, I felt like there was a very harsh winter that was. So the Upton Park frozen pitch meant that towards the last 2 months, the league didn't want to help West Ham. We ended up playing nearly 4 games a week. And the FA Cup took a lot out of us. We had a very small squad. And then it might be harsh to say this, but I even feel that when Liverpool beat Chelsea to win the league, Kenny Dalglish, I think Chelsea let them win. I really feel that. Ken Bates at the time, he would not have let Chelsea kind of win, and then we got the title on a Monday. Because all the lads, McAvenny, they all say, they go, if we went into the Everton game on a Monday, needing a draw or to win, we would have done it. And Chelsea beat us in April, didn't they? That was a big went against us towards the end. And then we didn't even get to. I mean, Liverpool got to the FA Cup final, did the double, and then we couldn't even get to the UEFA Cup because we were banned from Europe.
We were banned from Europe, I know it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's just like you're right, and I just think it's pandemic is well, not a pandemic. That's the wrong expression at the moment, but it's happened throughout time, and not just like the team success, but you look at the players. So, everyone says, oh, Julian never got it. Julian never got an England cap, and Phil Parkes got more, and Billy. And they all seem to turn up in an era where there was a lot of competitions. Obviously, Parkes, he was in goal, but he had Schultz and he had Clements. Left back Julian, it was Piercy and Lasso, and any other years, 2-3 before or after, he would have been an England regular. And you look at the whole team. I saw someone the other day, and they said, "Oh, Bonzi, if he ended up, they moved into centre midfield. If he was right back, he would have played hundreds of games for England." And it just seems but that's us, and we know that's us, don't we? We know that's West Ham.
Even when you look at it, I mean, we've got world-class players who spend a season at West Ham, and for some reason or another, something happens. You've got people like Paul Ince, you've got people like Payet, you've got people like Arnie, you've got all these people, Glenn Johnson even, who's just there for half a dozen games. They come, and for one reason or another, they just moved on, whether they want to do it themselves, the club's forced to do it. It's tragic, and some players have even sort of like Dean Ashton, that tragic injury just finished him, and we found him after ages.
I think the expression is for us, it's what could have been. It's like always, we talk about play. Oh, what could have been with Dino? What could have been if? I don't know, and that. But I always see West Ham as a bit like a soap opera. You know what I mean? And we like to be entertained. And you mentioned, when you go to these events and you see, Dave and X and obviously all the stuff you do with Lions United, and it's football is, and it's as much as we don't think it is, football is secondary. If football was the main thing for us, none of us would be a West Ham fan. Simple as, because we're never going to win anything, are we? We might have a good cup run occasionally. We're never going to win the title, but it's about the community. It's about the entertainment. It's about being the fact, your mates, as you said, and that's what I think most people have missed in the last 100 days. It's not the football. It's the pub beforehand, as you said. It's the game. People still go to the Black Lion and come from Plaster and then walk over, and and I think that's. And that's what comes across with the podcast, but sort of this video channel series, because it's all about, the whole thing has evolved because of people having conversations, and I'll be talking to one person, so and I'll be talking to you, and then probably afterwards you'll give me 5 people to talk to, and it just goes like this, and this, and this, and that's what we need to get back to. There's
West Ham fans everywhere. We're a huge club. I mean, like you said, they've not really won anything since I followed them. And if you look at, doesn't matter the price of the ticket, we're still getting around 50, 52, 53 at the ground. Which other club can do that? I mean, we're not glory hunters. Like you said, I even mentioned in an interview with Nikki that it's not the match anymore. I come to meet people like you, Nikki, and all the fans, the pre-match entertainment, post-match, we keep in touch. We talk about the good old days, which are kind of long ago now, and just think. And I talk to people because that Lyle era in 79, 80, 81, it was a little bit before me. I love to talk to people from that era. What was it like? Did you go to the final? What was it like, the 81 final? So lots of nostalgic sort of things to discuss. And
no, it's totally, and that's also part of the reason why I started the channel, because it's similar. I didn't experience 85, 86, the cup runs, the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, the 60s, and talking to all these fans. Obviously, you can read up and you can see highlights of Bobby Moore and Peters and Hurst and McAvenny and Cotty, but listening to the stories and actually also listening to the players talking about it so passionately, it's really, I've just got this better timeline in my head. Even now, from about 92 to about 96, everything's a blur, because I remember sort of things, and then everything's sort of in blocks. I do it based on shirts, so it's like, I remember John Hartson. He was in the pony one without a Dr. Martin shirt, but not necessarily sort of what season it was and stuff. But no, it's good fun. It's good fun, and as you said, it's all about sort of connecting with people and people I wouldn't have necessarily spoken to.
But I wanted to congratulate you on this channel, because what I really like are new ideas. So a lot of the channels that we have, they're kind of replicating what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this was so new. And what I really like about it is, it's not just saying, what do you think is the best West Ham team in the history? it's kind of, there's a reason behind it. Either, like you said, you've played with them as a player, or they're within your memory as a fan. Because otherwise, I would say, oh yeah, Bobby Moore's going to be in the back. Jeff, so that's what. So there's a niche, different team for every person who's going to come on the show.
Everyone is a different level. You're right. Everyone's different. Of course, there will be people of the same, have a few of the same players, but it's football is a game of opinion. It's a game of opinions, isn't it? Yeah. You know, I loved Razor Ruddock. You know, he was the last person I had on the back of my shirt. Would I put him in my 11? No. But did I love him? Yes. You know, it's like, but it's you see, and we've got some great guests coming up, and also we've got a few ex-players who are a bit obscure, but I love it. They always come on and chat. Because even if they played 15, 20 times the club, that's 15 times more than they've played for my boyhood club. You know what I mean? So, and that doesn't matter if they're like, you know, Cotty, or they're someone who hasn't, you know, or Bertie, bless him, who hasn't never played for the first team. They were all West Ham, you know, and that's what joins us all. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, like even Chris Houghton, Mitchell Thomas, who played like half the season, and you know, people like that. So we still remember them. Yeah.
Of course we do, because they all played a part in the fabric that is West Ham. The story it's a long soap opera. Now talking about 11s, yes, we go around and we talk to sorts of fans and players about their managers and coaches about the 11 players. So everyone's individual 11. Now, I've seen your Facebook messages with you and Stelios, you know, sort of trying to outdo each other in terms of team selection. So I'm looking forward to this one, guys. No pressure. Is there a particular theme, or is it just a collection of players?
The theme is obviously became West Ham fan from memory, January 1983.
Yeah.
So all these players are going to be players who obviously played from that time onwards.
Lovely.
But were obviously in their prime, and I recognise and I can remember watching them live, for example. So there's going to be some famous players that are not going to be in the team for reasons like they were going to retire that year, or they finished the year before. Yeah. So I'm in that critical, harsh period where I cannot remember 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. So all those players who are in a lot of the teams that I'll come to later on are not going to be in my team. So I'm kind of sandwiching that period. And even the 85, 86, I was only 12 then, but I do remember a bit more. So a lot of my players are going to be mid to late 80s and period all the way up to here, really.
Brilliant.
So not going to be too many players from the 70s. So it's going to be a bit different.
Yeah, good.
And I was really happy to hear that you were going to accommodate formations other than 4-4-2, but to make you happy, mine is a 4-4-2, because I nearly did a wing-back system and then I switched it again. And in terms of a goalkeeper that we were going to start with, it was really hard for me, and I changed my mind even half an hour ago. I was just like,
oh, God,
what I'm going to do.
Close to the wire.
That's the basis of the team. So players within my memory
let's
as a
start
fan.
Let's start with your new recruit, your goalie then. Who have you got in goal?
This was very hard for me. I mean, I began sort of to go a lot towards the late 80s, early 90s. And Phil Parkes, God bless him, had more or less kind of coming to the end. The knees had given up, and I didn't see the best of him. No. And I remember McNightmare from Celtic, who John Lyle signed, didn't work out. So a lot of people don't like the manager Lou Macari, but he bought a lot of good players, and one of them was Ludo.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention Ludo, who just missed out on being in my team, but he came like a breath of fresh air. No one knew who he was.
No. And
what really came to prominence were two things about him: the actual size of him. I know goalkeepers are big, but he was extra big, and his goal kicks were huge.
Yeah.
And I know they
were weird, weren't they? He sort of did this little backlift thing, like it was a
little boy winding himself up a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, okay.
And he's quite acrobatic. Yeah, so
he was. I mean, he was completely different to someone like Phil Parkes, wasn't he? He was just a different mould of a goalkeeper. And again, it was the sort of more towards the modern era of a goalkeeper. You know, sort of athletic build, who's I mean, look at De Gea and even Edison. They're quite bulky, but they're quite athletic, aren't they? But right, okay, but Ludo, it's not Ludo. It's not Ludo.
It's not Ludo.
Is it Neil Finn?
Neil Finn, I tell you what, I was playing Championship Manager 97-98 last night, and Neil Finn was on my bench nearly. Yeah, Neil Finn, that's the name that came out.
Good. All right, okay, it's not Neil.
It's Robert Green.
Greeno.
Is Greeno. And I feel we're not really sport for choice, to be fair, in terms of great goalkeepers that still left. So, and I was surprised to see how many seasons Robert Green. He was there for a good while, 4 or 5 seasons for us. Very stable, good signing from Norwich, same club who gave us Dean Ashton, and got into the England team as well.
He did.
So I think he was fairly stable most games, fairly self-confident, had a good kind of commanding personality about him, very well spoken, and I'm sure he's quite popular around the dressing room. So it was going to be Robert Green and Ludo, and it was very close. But I just felt, being really critical, is I felt in the top division, Ludo wasn't consistent as he was when we used to go down in the Championship. I just felt he kind of lost his way a bit. And not saying it's all his fault, because in front of him, you have to look at that as well. And Alvin and Tony were coming to the end of their careers. So Robert Green for me, I think. Yeah. Robert Green.
Yeah, good shout. Have you seen Robert Green's new look? He was on Sky Sports or Sky the other day, and he looked like Sheamus, the wrestler. He had this sort of like Mohican hair. Absolutely brilliant. I love Robert Green.
He's another guy who doesn't live too far. He's another Gerrard's Cross boy. I think I've seen him driving around there.
He doesn't take himself too seriously as well. That's what I love about people. People do these days, they take themselves too seriously. And Greeno didn't. He still basks in the fact that he's a European Cup winner, despite the fact he only played 1 game for Chelsea. But I just love it. I think he's great. He's a good shot. Okay, we'll put Greeno in. Let's go left back then, Yaz. Who we got left back then?
Left back. Easy, wasn't it? Mr. Dix.
Mr. Dix. It was a toss-up between him or Vladimir Laban. So,
I just want to give you... So, out of this 11, a really interesting fact is, out of these 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 have been Hammer of the Years. 7 of them. And 1, 2, 3 have been runners-up. 7 winners, 3 runners-up, and 1 who didn't win it or wasn't runner-up.
Very good.
So it's a team that I wanted to choose who've done well for us naturally.
Yeah.
Because some players are good before they join us, and they're not so good, and much better when they leave us. So these players have certainly given us good memories. Yeah. So it's Mr. Dix.
Yeah.
Hammer of the Year twice in 96 and 97.
Yeah.
And runner-up probably 1 or 2 times other than that.
So, yeah.
But the first thing about Julian Dix is same thing what you've been saying the last couple of days. I cannot remember a guy playing from fullback who used to dominate the game.
No.
I mean, he was captain. He'd pass 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards at will, right on the 10 pence coin. He had a brilliant free kick, great penalty, captain, and never went anywhere near the England team, which is tragedy. And Russ, is one of the things I get upset for in England. If you're a really good player outside the top 4, like Matthew Letizia, even Glenn Hoddle had it tough getting in there, and his hair was too short or long, whatever, it's just ridiculous. The guy just oozed ability. And a really interesting fact, I think, on one of your guests yesterday, that if you did play for England and we had a penalty shootout, you've got a dead certain goal, haven't you?
Venables got it wrong.
Yeah. But it's Julian Dix. Captain Marvel. Yeah,
Captain Marvel. Good old Julian. And it's nice when you. I mean, obviously, I appreciate you. You're going through all the episodes. You'd be here for some time. But listening to the players, when I always fans have an appreciation of players, but when the players have the same appreciation for their teammate, that to me is like upper echelons in terms of respect. And they all talked about Julian. They all talked about how they couldn't train like him, but he had this like God-given talent to play football. How he'd have a can of Coke and a Mars bar and then go be man of the match. like absolutely mental. Yeah, people like Tim Breaker. He's like, you know, I had to warm up for 40 minutes, but
I love Tim Breaker's nickname, Robot. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Yes, I was like, Robot. That's the trouble because players talk about each other. Oh, it would be Reg and Stretch, and I know what they're talking about now, but it's like, you know, there's no textbook anywhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then he said Robot, and I was like, what are you on about, Martin? The machine. When he said machine, I knew he meant Tim.
I think he does look like a robot as well.
He does now, yeah. And actually, he's such a nice bloke as well. We had such a good time chatting to him, and he's just like it's so like it was like a roller coaster ride that day. So I had like Mad Dog, then it was like Kevin Keane, so it's a lot more sort of relaxed, and then it was Ian Bishop. So it was like I was like in the middle of like some valley talking. It was like, oh, I don't know where to look, but yeah,
great characters,
they're brilliant, and that's and I've said it in almost every episode. That's the one thing I really miss about West Ham is the lack of characters in the last 15 years. You know, there's been since that era, that Mad Dog era, and
it's the Sky era, Russ. It's when Sky came in, everything's changed from the Sky '93 season, I think, onwards. So much money, and you don't have the local boys in the team anymore like you used to. Like '86, they said, yeah, we're all British. We were in the dressing room. It was easy to wind each other up. We kind of got it. So I think it's from that season, we pre-Sky and post-Sky is how we look at it now, isn't it?
I think obviously the last of great characters was someone obviously like Paolo, you know, and he was the last. I think, you know, we don't get, but it's something I miss now, you know, and even more so talking to like when you're talking about stories about the players you liked and the fans and and actual players talking about, you know, wind-ups and pranks. You just as you said, the money's too serious. Football it's become too serious and too professional, in my opinion, you know. And it's like, because I think
definitely
it's just, you know, but then, and that's why anyone with a bit of character stands out like a sore thumb, you know. So it's like, even like not even like a humorous character, even like a leadership character. So someone like Declan Rice, no wonder everyone's after him, because he stands up like a sore thumb, because he's a leader at the age of, was he 22, something like that. And there's no leaders in the game after. It's like, John Terry's probably the last one in England really is a leader.
They're worth a lot. I mean Nolan was a brilliant one we had. Very few leaders in the game, and Rice comes across as a very level-headed, good person who's not going to act too rash in any way. If he leaves, which we all know he will, he'll leave in the right way. Hopefully. So very level-headed.
No, I agree. Right, anyway, so yes, Julian. So Julian's in. Okay, let's go right back. Then who's right back then?
This person is a player that can play in one or two positions. He was used a lot as a wing-back in Harry's team. As a winger before, he could even played up front if need be. And I feel, because I wanted to play a certain person on the wing, I slotted him in at right back, and that's Mr. Trevor Sinclair. I think he can play in that role. I think he's got a good engine on him, good ball control, can stick his foot in, and I'm sure he can overlap and get the odd goal and whip across him. I think, as John Hartson was one of the people saying he loved playing with Trevor Sinclair. Number of balls used to whip in. So it's Mr. Trevor Sinclair,
and again, as you said, it's about Greeno. You know, obviously an England player when he was at West Ham, which was always, you know, he was brilliant, Trev.
He's one of my runner-ups. Hammer of the Year. He was a runner-up. Didn't win it. He was a runner-up. So Robert Green won it. Dix won it. So it's included.
Okay. Right, let's go centre backs then. Who's the first centre back for the Uppal 11?
The first centre back, I don't do it a lot, but he wasn't with us for that long. But he left such a mark on me in terms of stature, the way he came across, the personality, the way people thought of him, and how much he gave a little bit towards the end. It's Bilic. Bilic, who hasn't been in that many teams, I don't think.
No, not that many. Not that many. I haven't. I always have my spreadsheet open, and today I haven't got my spreadsheet open. God, Tony Cotty would hate me. I haven't got my spreadsheet open. He loves my spreadsheet. No, Bilic, I don't think he's come up particularly off. He's only come up in 14% of the 11.
Still not bad.
That's not. I mean, that's not a lot. It's still not a lot, to be honest.
I mean, I looked at people like I mean, I'll tell you after I picked the last centre up. I was looking. It's a good choice there. Good lot of players there. But I felt Bilic, Mr. Luftwaffe General, whatever we called him back then, was a good buy from Harry from the German league, and he proved his worth for us. When I think about it, he got his country to the semi-finals of the World Cup, the Croatian team. And I'm not sure if he was captain or not. Was it Stimac? I'm not sure, but that showed his worth and value.
Yeah.
And even coming back as a manager, that shows me he gave a little bit back to the club. You know, he came back and he fully understands the club, and he's got reasonable claret and blue in him somewhere and doing well at the moment. So, and I think he's a general. He'll look after the back four, bring them together. And then one of the few, not few, but a person Julian Dix looks up to so much. So them two together, good friends.
Yeah. Good idea.
See?
I mean, that was a solid. Think about that Croatia '98, where it was Stimac and Bilic in the middle. That was solid, and they looked cool, didn't they? Because they had like that the checkerboard sort of top.
Oh yeah, very different.
They had a really cool strip as well, and it was unusual. But slabs in. I like that.
I think they had Sukker, they had Roberto Gianni at fullback, loads of players.
They did.
Very good team.
Yep.
So that's Mr. Bilic.
Yep. Who's he going to partner then? In a sense,
it's going to be. Well, I looked at. Well, we got people like Upson, Gale, Collins, Gabidon, Reaper. I had a long think about Reaper. I don't think we realised how good he was before he went to Celtic. No. Yeah. I can't put Gale or Martin in because as a fan, they only had one and a half years. Apart from 85, 86. And Martin admits it. He said, after that season, I only played 10 times with Gale. We were injured, or he was.
Yeah.
It's going to be Rio, Mr. Rio. Rio Ferdinand. Yeah. A lot of pace in there in the back to help Slaven, and good in the air as well, and carved out a great career for himself, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's a good player. And announced today he's going to be a dad again.
Oh,
nice.
Wonderful. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah,
fully deserved.
Yeah, definitely. Lovely guy. And he responded to one of my tweets the other day, which I was terribly impressed by. I was terribly excited when I put up the Tony Carr video, and he replied to it saying "legend." I was like, oh my god, come on the show. It's gone quiet since then. It's gone quiet since then. So yeah,
brilliant.
But yeah, no, Rio. Yeah, he was part of that phenomenal conveyor belt that was ticking over, and I was talking to an ex-player today, and he made a good point actually about that conveyor belt, because the assumption was that this, you had, it was always churning out players, but actually it hadn't done it, in such a a strong way.
Concentrated period,
So for a concentrated period, you get one or two. So you got your Cotties and people like that, but no, and then you had this massive influx of 6 of them, almost at the doorstep, so to speak. And it's true, and obviously that was a huge time in Tony Carr's life at West Ham, because he when he did his Academy 11 when we interviewed him, and it was all that period. It was all that, apart from Kevin Keane. It was pretty much and Cotty. It was exclusively that team, the team that was too good to go down. And
I'll tell you what. Cotty came in 83. Then we had Ince in 87, 88. But what really started me thinking, I was watching the David Rocastle documentary, and in that 4-5 that came, Ray Parlour and Tony Adams were definitely West Ham boys in that area. And I kept thinking, how the hell did they go from our area to... And then Tony said, I went to see West Ham set up. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Ray Parlour, I don't know. But apparently, listening on another podcast, there's a lot what's behind. Tony Carr done a great job. But there was another guy they pinched from Arsenal. So Arsenal were pinching people from north, east, south, west, which never used to happen before. East used to be West Ham's manor, and then Arsenal kept the northern kids. So this guy obviously done a lot to get a lot of these people through the door as well, who, like you said, can't even think of his name, but he came across as a really good person. Even Harry Redknapp said that we've got a great guy now. He's
Is it Peter Braybook?
Could be. I can't see either way. But this guy was really.
I know you brought him in. I know Harry brought in Braybook as well to work with Tony Carr. But West Ham love we love a academy boy coming through, don't we? We just do.
Tony should have been our boy. Tony Adams, he should have been our boy, and we needed him back then.
Same as John Terry. John Terry was our boy, and he makes Tony Carr's Academy 11. But less said about that, the better. But we'll put Rio in.
Yeah.
Good shot.
Brilliant.
All right, let's go midfield then. Let's go left midfield for the upper 11.
Okay, so I'm going to go for, similarly to Bilic. He wasn't with us for that long, but left a big mark on everyone. It's Payet.
Yeah.
It's Payet. Yeah. Even sometimes I don't do it a lot, but when things happen during the season, you might not remember what happens. Or when you sit back, and this video came on Sky about his goals, I couldn't believe it. I go, bloody, he's even better than what I thought. The free kicks, the deliveries, the assists. Yeah, it's going to be hard for someone to have a season like that for us for a good while.
To have such an impact, isn't he? Such an early day. Most players. Most players sort of take half a dozen games to get up to speed, particularly from coming from foreign league. First game. We was taking at the Arsenal game. He was doing. Although Reece had Ozil in his pocket, it wasn't that. It was the dimmy turns, and he was beating players for fun. And you're thinking, and it's that unfortunate thing with West Ham that you get a player and they perform and they perform really well, and in the back of your mind you're going, well, how long till he buggers off? It's how long till another club comes to get him, because it's just the nature of us as a club. Unfortunately, we're not.
We didn't even get the money that we deserved for him.
No.
There's another thing, Ross. I just remembered. So when Paul Ince left us, the fee was going to be about 2 million in that time. But what West Ham done, because he wasn't insured and apparently he had a dodgy hip, I think, which he didn't have, we took 750,000 instead of 2 million, because the 2 million was going to be on an instalment plan over the next 2 years. And West Ham, we got nervous. And then when you think we bought people like Colin Foster for that amount of money and the career Paul Ince had, we just never do things right sometimes. I'm just like, shocking.
It's that East End like to get a deal, isn't it? That's the East End way, isn't it? Really, it's like it's like 750 grand now is better than maybe 2 million in that time. And so with Dimmy, it was like we had to cut our ties, and we obviously we made on it. We made on the deal a little bit, but it wasn't the whatever Real Madrid were quoted, 70 million or something ridiculous they were quoted in the summer after the Euros and stuff. But hey, these things always happen with us, don't they? Again, it's you're saying about the luck and things like that. It's always the way with West Ham. Right, okay, we'll put Dimmy in, and as you said, I'd put him in my 11 just because the enjoyment he gave me on that last season at Upton Park.
I was thinking of people like Bellamy, because I had a lot of time for Bellamy. I thought he's such but injuries and not many appearances, but you could tell the guy was class on his day when he's fully fit. You couldn't get near him.
No.
So Payet,
And you're right. Again, it was the plan was Bellamy and Ashton up front. If you had Bellamy and Ashton up front fit,
oh my God,
it'd been incredible. But it just never really worked. One was always fit, and Ashton got really injured. It was just like story of our life as One Direction. Right, okay, let's go right midfield. Then who've we got right midfield then, Jazz?
Again, a bit like Sinclair, he can play in a couple of positions because of his skill, and Mr. Kenya, I'm going to put him on the wing, Mr. Kenya. Again, a world-class player. He's got time, he's got control. Didn't see him lose the ball many times, if anything, and I'm sure. And he'll be one of those players. He doesn't have to run like a typical winger down the wing and 100 miles an hour and whip it in. He can cut in both ways, and
you're right.
He can cut in, which will be his big thing, I think, and help the front too.
He would stay on the right, but it's you can put him there. But Christ knows where I've been by the end. But you're right. He was. Until Payet came along, obviously he was my number one technical player. Obviously it's a different favourite player. He was I mean, everyone says it. He was just box office, weren't he? He was like, you would buy a season ticket just to watch him, wouldn't you? And it was part of that crazy period. Again, that Redknapp period where you'd go to the game excited because you had no idea what was going to happen. It's like you watch, 5-4 against Bradford City.
Yeah, crazy.
What the F? But to be honest, those type of things happened like quite a lot. Not in the extremeness of that one match, but he was brilliant. And it was him, and then there was obviously people like Repka. Was he going to get a yellow card? Was he going to get sent off? John Moncur. How long till he got a booking? It was all this. It was all this entertainment, which it was that was my favourite period of West Ham for me. That sort of
it's very entertaining when Harry's the manager, because he's going to sign 30 players a season and sell 25. It drives the board mad.
Yeah.
But for fans, you're on because back then we didn't have this silly window. I don't agree with, and we always knew he's going to be bringing in players quite regularly.
and you look at that period, and that was our most successful period. 7 years he was in charge for. Didn't get relegated. Got relegated the year as soon as Rhoda took over, as you said the other day to me. But which you made a point of saying to me. I was like, all right. But it was. I don't think. For me, that was brilliant. I love that time. And as you said, getting people like Razor Ruddock in. Yes, he was Razor Ruddock, but he was up past it. And Ian Wright, and he just had this. He said a conveyor belt. Who's this bloke from Romania? Let's have a go. And Marco Boogers, and it's brilliant, absolutely hilarious. Right, okay, we'll put Paolo on the right to start off with. Let's go into midfield then. Let's go for your first midfielder for the Uppal 11.
Yeah, I think these two are selected. If we go with the more defensive box-to-box engine that you always need, it's Hammer of the Year twice. It's Mr. Scott Parker.
Three times.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Three times.
Sorry, I put 9 brackets.
Ooh, I could just see people going, it was 3 times. It was three times. 3 times. But it's okay. You didn't finish the sentence.
I put brackets 9-11, but I didn't forget about the 10 in the middle. That's why I put the dash in there. Jeez. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, I love you, Joe. That was it. All about a dash. Yeah, Scotty P. Sorry, carry on.
He's one of those players like Billy Bonds. He left everything out there on the ground. He just ran his guts out. He's surrounded by people who weren't very good sometimes and moody, and he virtually managed the team, we're told.
The West Brom game famously.
Yeah. And obviously towards the end, we weren't quite going to win anything for him, and he probably thought move on and maybe into a slightly better team, maybe try to get an England team. But so Scott Parker, but I put him ahead of people like Noble and Nolan. Noble because I think in terms of loyalty and appearances, it's very good. But in terms of just being honest, in terms of ability, I think Scott Parker was just a shade above Noble. The thing with Paul Ince is if he even though he only played a season, there's very few players that are complete midfielders, which he got with sort of Paul Ince, the box-to-box, could score a goal, stick his foot in, played for Manchester United, the Milan clubs, and Liverpool. Just a shame what happened, but I feel he would have been brilliant for us. Nolan, another great person I was looking at, brilliant. He again gave everything on the field, and just a shame some fans sort of turned towards him at the end. It's a bit naughty of us, I think, but always had a great time for him. And he joined at a very critical period that we had to come up before the parachute payments run out, first time up, and he helped out a lot, galvanised the dressing room. He did. Big Sam's right-hand man.
He's doing it again now. Really, isn't he? I think again he's coming at a critical point, and you saw him in that last couple of games. The difference, I just think I think he's a better coach than he is a manager, and I think it was a bit of a master stroke by Moisey to be honest. But I think Kevin Nolan's great. But yes, Scott Parker.
Talking about Scousers like Nolan, they do like Mark Ward. They do have something about them, don't they? Like
they do.
Ready to battle, and
I think that's
roll their sleeves up.
Exactly. I mean, I think West Ham fans have that. there's a natural association. I don't think it's a coincidence that people talk about Alvin Martin, talk about Mark Ward, Scousers, and obviously he said Nolan. I think it might be a Docs thing, and I it might be something to do with that. We do seem to have a really good. I'm sure someone will give me 10 Scousers in the comments. There's the comments box of people who are crap for us. But for the purpose of today's video, no, you're right. You're right, totally. And I think Scott Parker was a brilliant player for us. Almost sometimes you could just see him go right, and Julian did this as well. Where you go right. Fuck it, I'm going to do it myself, and you just almost saw them pull it physically and mentally pull their socks up, and just headlight. He'd do his little term, stick his arse out, and I loved Scott Parker.
He literally. I'm surprised he had the energy to walk off the pitch at the end. Sometimes he was that much trained, wasn't he? Gave it everything, didn't he? Out there.
He was the
manager's dream.
He was, and he was the box to box, the ideal box to box player. And he's obviously wants to manage it now, isn't he? So, for them. Anyway, okay, we'll put Scotty P in. Who's he going to partner then?
I'm very lucky in this person that he can actually do both jobs in terms of sticking his foot in, but also spray it around, set up attacks. Very hard to find that type of player. I'd looked at people like Martin Allen, Berkovic, Benyun, who I absolutely love those three. But this person, and talking about Scousers, it's Mr. Bishop.
Yeah. Again,
it's Mr. Bishop.
And he's going to hate me because I haven't mentioned him, and because he watches all the videos. And of course, Bish Bosh. Sorry, I forgot. But Ian Bishop, brilliant player.
I listen to his podcast with his two sons very frequently, and I was on a show with him as well not long ago, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant. He was class. He's smooth. He could do everything. He'll go up to Rio and Bilic and he'll ask for the ball. He's not hiding. He'll start the attack, spray it. The only thing he said, hands up, I didn't score enough. That's the only thing he goes, I didn't do. But he was captain as well for us.
Yes.
So this team has got a lot of captains.
A lot of captains.
You look at Rio, Bilic, Bishop, Parker.
There's a lot of skippers there. And I think you need someone like Bish in there from a character perspective as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You've got he's a larger than life character, I think for team morale as well, you need someone like Bish in.
He gave us 9 years, and this is the player that wasn't Hammer of the Year or a runner up, surprisingly.
Mental, innit?
I
did. I can't. I think. Did I? I think someone was. No, I know. It's going to be annoying. Jim Grant did runners up of Hammer of the Year teams, so like they always be a runner, and that was quite good because it was like there's some random ones and someone he didn't pick like UC Askalainen. He was runner up once when in the season he played.
Oh right. Well,
and there was quite some funny ones, but no, we'll put Bish in. Bish and Parker, that'd be a nice partnership in the middle together.
Yeah, this is the team, Russ. This is going to top of the league so far.
This is top of the team. Okay, all right. Let's go strikers then. Who's going to get these goals? Who's your first?
So the first striker, obviously, not saying because of that, but I think he gave us good service. He's one of the record scorers in the list, and his debut goal, like we mentioned earlier, was when it's TC. Tony Cottee. And I like this 4-4-2 traditionally, not just because we're doing it today, but I think sometimes in the modern, I hate the one up front on his own, the new modern thing. I hate it.
We know it doesn't work for us, so that's the annoying thing.
I think if it's good enough for Alex, good enough for the old Bill Shankleys and the Lyles, big, even to the effect I say a big man, little man, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think we try to overcomplicate things sometimes, playing these. All right, it works for Liverpool, that's fine. Those players are superhuman. But TC's your modern day goal poucher or goal hanger, we used to call it at school, which no longer exists, I'm afraid. So people like him and the target people like Carroll, they're kind of coming out the game, aren't they, at the moment? There are not many around. So I think it's TC, just to do the simple job, get in the box and put it in, finish it like Defoe. Get it in there.
Right, okay, we'll put TC in, and who's he going to partner? Who's going to be the last piece of this puzzle?
The last piece before I mention it, some of the strikers that I've got a lot of respect for who didn't get in were people like Hartson, Ashton, Barr, Sacco, Zamora.
Barr, that's what Denver Barr. That was that's a good one.
He's a good one. Kitson, Carlton Cole for his service, Arnie, and two people I really think were kind of. I think Jimmy Quinn, was better than people think about him. I think me and Nigel can't be loved Jimmy Quinn. But the one who would have got really close, again, he's kind of underestimated, is Mr. Trevor Morley, I think. I did like him. I think he gave a good service for the team. A lot of good goals as well. Grafter, which players love. But it's going to be McAvenny. It's going to be the old Cotty McAvenny up.
Got to be the partnership,
Yeah, he can do the running off the ball, get into the channels, provide the gaps for Bishop to find him. And Payet, can you imagine Payet trying to find McAvenny? Top, because McAvenny is he said, we've got to play it fast, got to play it first touch like Lyle, get it over the head, get it to me quick, and I'm sure he'll get the service. So it's a McAvenny. He was runner-up, never Hammer of the Year, runner-up. Yeah, never Hammer of the Year.
Never Hammer of the Year. Obviously, TC won it in the 85.
86.
Yeah, in that season, didn't he? Yeah.
And I think McAvenny should have won it, Ross, that year. I think.
Do you know what? And funny enough, when he interviewed TC, that was one of the things I said to him was like, what's it like? Because you were the first Hammer of the Year. What's it like winning the Hammer of the Year, particularly as a West Ham boy? And he went, do you know what? I was embarrassed. I was a bit embarrassed, to be honest, because he thought he should have won it the year before. And I think he was runner-up a couple of times, like in succession.
Paul Allen won it the year before.
Yeah, Paul Allen won it the year before. I think the year before that, he thought he was going to have a chance, but it was Trevor Brookings' last season. There's something like that. And so the year he won it, he thought that Macca should have won it, and he was very a little bit embarrassed by picking it up, but.
But another example, Ross, not going on about the England thing again. I mean, TC was Young Player of the Year that year. Didn't go anywhere near the England squad.
No.
And what really upsets me is how Terry Fenwick got in ahead of Alvin Martin for the Argentina game.
Yeah.
And then Scotland, Alex Ferguson did the same thing to McAvenny. He fell out with McAvenny, Graham Souness, and all these guys. So sometimes these managers lose the plot, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Cotty banged how many goals that season? He'd won PFA Junior Young Player of the Year that year as well. And it was just, and the whole Terry Fenwick thing and Alvin, that's come up before, and there is a trend, isn't it? It's not just one or two players. It does seem to be. No, I don't think just West Ham, because I think any other team could have the same thing with their players. But it just seems outside the top sort of 4 or 5 for the last 30 years, it is a bit like that. But
Ray Stewart was not even in the Scotland team either. They're picking Maurice Malpas, I think, from Dundee United. So he had it tough as well.
Exactly.
And he mentioned in '82 he was in the squad, got injured. So we do have it tough, don't we?
Yeah.
Getting international
it is what it is, but we love them anyway, and it doesn't matter what happens, in it. Well, you still turn up. Well, we can't turn up at the understated moment, but you still tune in and watch the matches, won't you? Whatever happens. So it is what it is, and that's why we love. That's just been absolutely brilliant, man, talking to you. I've loved it.
You too, Ross.
Really, really loved it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I can tell there's been a lot of work going into there. Last minute changes, fitness tests.
Goalkeeper was hard. And then I was thinking the other day, in terms of a manager, don't we all wish Trevor Brooking had taken the role longer than the passion that man showed?
Again, it was one of those things where the man never showed no passion, like physic, like when he was playing, he was very cool. But put him on that touchline, and he was. And I think West Ham fans, I think we draw to a manager who has passion on the touchline. I don't think with Pellegrini, for example, he was quite. Although he could have this sort of Chilean, he'd like flare up, but he would sit down, and particularly obviously at London Stadium, you like to see the managers. That's why I like Slav. I like Slav because he just sat there and you could see he was kicking every ball. And I think and Moyes a bit like that as well. I mean, especially with him and Kevin together, they sort of work quite well as a double act. I don't know how it's going to work, on Saturday because with social distancing, they can't stand. I don't know if they're allowed to stand that close to each other, but it's what it is. It is what it is. But no, I think and as I said before, I think considering the way other clubs have dealt with the crisis and their managers and what they said, I think we pulled a good in there with Moisey. I really do. I think he was.
Yeah. I've got a lot of time for him. Yeah,
so
a lot
much
of experience.
So much respect for the way he dealt with that time, and just what he's trying to do. It seems like he's trying to get a bit of the old boys sort of, mentality back in. Obviously, you've got, there's until recently there wasn't that many old boys in the backroom staff, in particular the Pellegrini era, a lot of foreign-based coaches and stuff. He said that they don't get it, don't get West Ham. Where now you got, obviously you got Colton, as you said, you've got Zavon, you've got Conch, you've got Potsy, you've got Keno, and it's just lovely to see. And hope, and there's, and there is and Kevin was saying it the other day, in the 18s, there's a big crop of players there. There's a good crop of, he's really excited about the next generation. So it's about how he can filter them through. And obviously Moyes is more about British-based players. And we'll see.
Like David. I think he's very hardworking. He's the first one at the training ground, last one out. He thinks thoroughly about tactics. He brings people on. He improved Arnie. He brought Rice, gave him stability in the team. He gave Nagakia the chance, whatever we think about that. So he thinks a lot about what the hell can he do in 5 months. So he's never been given a full season.
No.
He's gone in when the chips are down. And you can't win. And the fixtures are horrendous, Russ. Even when he came in, we played Liverpool and City twice just before, Arsenal as well. Yeah. And now we've got Wolves, Spurs, Chelsea, Man United.
Yeah.
Jesus, wow, it's going to be close, Russ.
It's going to be close. But I think, honestly, I really think we got the best man for the job for it, because it's not. So. It ain't about. It ain't going to be about. I mean, you watched that City game, you watched how Arsenal played, and the rubbish game before that. But it's not going to be about the most. It's going to be about spirit and fitness,
organisation,
exactly.
Motivation. And if we go down, God forbid, he's still the best man to bring us up.
Oh yeah,
we need to stick with him,
And
he'll have. And the thing with him is he didn't want to buy, because we brought him in so late in the transfer window. He didn't have a chance to sort of look and scout anyone, because he's quite thorough in terms of looking at players a lot. So he hates being rushed. But fortunately, Bowen and Souček, they look like good signings, much needed. And let's bring more people from the Championship who can hit the ground running.
That's his mentality, isn't it? And I think, with someone like Bowen, as I said before on the channel, I had so much excitement of him signing. It was very similar to when Ashton came in, because when Ashton came in, he was a young Championship English-based player who was hungry, and you knew he would fit into the team. And Bowen, he's exactly what we needed. We need that pace, we need that energy. And he's only played a few games, but he looks like he'll run his socks off all day. Do you know what I mean? He looks like he would try. There's certain players, when they come on the pitch, they don't exude that mentality. And even Souček, I mean, he's picked Souček out, and I think he's mustard, and I just think we're going to do all right.
I feel like Bowen, it's the movement off the ball that's clever. So even before the ball's delivered, he's looking to get into those pockets.
And that's what we miss. We miss that. It's all very it's very a continental style. Where players just stand and just try and do a trick, and it doesn't work in our game now. It has to be the clever runs, but also having the skill to pick them up. And I think we have that. We've got people like Fornals, and we've got people like Lanzini when he's on his game, and we've got some skillful players. It's just the right formation. And I think with him, I think with Haller, hopefully with Antonio more pushed up front, that makes a big difference as well. Because Haller's got someone to play with, and we've seen the difference. Just the confidence in the player, because there's a player there. There is a player there, and it's just about, as you said, getting that. And he did it with Arnie. I mean, Arnie was doing fuck all really.
Nothing. No,
he was on the right, getting on the lock. And he put him up front to the right, just fucking stay up there. A bit like when Curbs came in and took Tevez, because Tevez didn't do. Everyone's sort of big about those first few months weren't great for Tevez. He wasn't really. And then Curbs went, look, just stop running about, stay up there. In Argentinian. And that was it. And then he became the Carlos Tevez we love and hate. Anyway, that was great, man. That was really fun.
Brilliant.
Obviously, thank you.
No problem. Cover your eyes.
Cover your eyes. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching. Obviously, share, like, subscribe. You know what to do. Again, keep the messages coming. I read everyone, and it overwhelms me that anyone bloody looks at these videos, let alone comment on them. So please keep that coming. It's all about the community. You know, players come and go, but the fans stay. That's my new motto. I like that, and that's what this channel is about. And until next time, for me and Jazz, take care, everybody. Stay safe and be well. See ya. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.